If you've ever found yourself on a website and you see one of these cool animations, you probably asked yourself, how did they do that? You might think it was a miniature recorded by video, or maybe it was created using 2D software like Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop, but in reality, a lot of the time it's done through 3D design, otherwise known as CGI. Now, 3D design has been around for years, however, it's only recently started to gain lots of traction in the web design space, and that's for obvious reasons. Number one, it's pretty much only limited by your creativity and budget, and number two, the 3D artwork flat out makes your website look really cool sometimes. But is it worth it? Is it worth the money to hire a 3D artist to create the designs for your website? If you're a digital marketing agency, is it worth bringing a 3D artist on staff, or to pay one of your current employees to learn the software? What is the role of 3D design on a website? As a digital marketer with an SEO background, I want to know the return on investment. So in other words, does the 3D design on your website further your company's brand and goals, or is it just there to look cool? So let's take a dive into how these 3D animations are being made to see if we can't answer some of these questions. Here's the process for how an animation like this gets made. You can build the model from scratch, or you can use 3D scanning software to scan a physical object and then transfer it into the software after. Once the finishing touches are made to the models, it is then animated. After the animation is complete, the artist will then add textures and materials to give it color and realistic properties, such as metallic, glossy, and transparent. Then it's time to render out the animation. This is done by exporting out the sequence frame by frame, and yes, that can take some time. It's pretty common to see these 3D animations rendered out in loops, meaning there's never an end, it just keeps repeating over and over. Also, it's common to see them shot in orthographic view as it gives the viewer a more pleasing look at the scene. Now that we have all the frames from our render, the artist then brings the images into a video editing software to patch them together into a cohesive sequence. Depending on how the sequence is going to be used on the website, the artist then renders out the sequence in video format or in another image sequence. Typically in Hollywood movies, each of these steps involved in creating CGI are handled by different artists specializing in each area, but for web design it's pretty typical to see the same 3D artist doing all the steps themselves. Now, if you've gone with video format, then the artist simply uploads the video to the website and it's done. However, if you went with an image sequence, the sequence is then imported to the website and code is added to tell the website browser when to play which part of the sequence, depending on where the user is on the screen. So, that brings us back to the question, is it worth it? Well, let's look at some of the pros and cons. Let's start with the cons. First, as we just learned, it takes a lot of time and effort. If you're hiring an artist, you've got to pay and it might not be cheap. Second, as I mentioned earlier, if not carried out in the correct manner, it could hurt your website. Remember, when you're building a website, the goal is not to have the coolest one or the fanciest one, but the one that portrays your brand the best and helps you reach your goals. The other day I found myself on a particular website, and it was the absolute most incredible website I had ever been on. The animations were awesome, the colors were riveting, and the font was ridiculously cool. Problem was that I had no clue what the website was for. No clue what the product was, no clue if they offered a service, so all of that hard work on the designer's end went to waste. There was this theory back in the early 2000s that ugly websites sell better than cool looking websites. Now, I don't think that theory still holds up in the 2020s, but there may be the slightest sliver of truth to it. Now let's talk about the pros. When you enter a website that has a nice professional looking 3D animation on it, what do you think? I'm talking about a clean animation that doesn't take your eye away from the product or service, but rather it shines a light on the product or service. Now that's something that may be worth it. Maybe you have a product that needs showcasing, or you have a service where 2D images and words just can't do justice, or you have an audience that you know will eat this type of thing up. Or maybe you're looking to the future when Google really starts adopting these on the search results pages. These are all great examples of how 3D design can positively impact your business. And when I say positively impact your business, I'm not talking about fluffy statistics. I'm talking about the real deal, return on investment. If you can find a way to better describe your product or service, or show it in a brighter manner to your customers, then the investment was worth it. So we now know if you have someone on your side who knows how to use 3D design to boost your website's user experience and not take away from it, it may be a valid option for you. Now, I'm not going to pretend like I know what the future has in store for web design and search engine optimization, but I bet a good chunk of change that 3D design is at least a part of it. Also, a quick disclaimer, even though technology has advanced a tremendous amount over the last 20 years, we still have a little ways to go before I'm comfortable putting crazy amounts of 3D graphics on websites. Videos and image sequences will slow down your website, especially on mobile devices. You're best off using a website platform like Webflow, which has super clean code, so the 3D graphics don't slow down your site's page speed too much. Just something to consider. If you are looking to get into 3D design, I'd recommend checking out Blender. It's a completely free open source software. It may take some getting used to, and it may be a bit frustrating at first, but trust me, it's worth it if you're serious about 3D design.